Hello and welcome to Walker Tea Review. I'm Jason Walker here with a Chinese green tea that was harvested in the spring. You know, it's December 2013 winter, but there's still opportunity to enjoy fresh spring green teas. Fresh being, if it's kept properly, it will retain a lot of its value there. So I've scooped out enough into my 3-ounce Gaiwan to cover the bottom inch to inch and a half of the diameter there at the bottom. My water's been brought to an early boil, started to rumble, and I took it off. Got a 3-ounce Gaiwan here, so I want a little bit of water to rest just above the rim of the lid when I put it on. Gaiwans are useful in their simplicity and their ease of cleaning. Sometimes it takes a little technique or practice as far as using it and because it is a different type of process, but I'll show that in just a moment. I want to talk now about this tea. This is from Yezi tea. This is their DragonWellHighGradeLongJing. You can get 1 ounce for $10.95 currently. This is a spring harvest DragonWell. Don't know the precise details of this. Is a Mingqian, which would be harvested before the Qingming festival or subsequent harvest. But you can find out information about the farmer. Yezi gives pretty in-depth, detailed profiles of their farmers. This particular farmer, Zheng Xiaotu, who is the farmer who has had a very extended history and experience of growing tea, especially in the Meijiawu, which is a village or region in the Hangzhou area of Zhejiang province, which this is one of the traditional and generally more highly acclaimed Longjing producing areas, the Meijiawu. So that is to talk about the source of this tea. I'm going to go ahead and talk about the dry leaf, the wet leaf, the liquor, the characteristics of this particular tea. Starting off here with the dry, getting lightly toasted aromas. Not toasted rice, maybe a bit almondy. If you have a rice cooker and you've cooked the rice so that there's just a lot of times when you cook a rice, there's a bit of a film, sometimes called a paper, that can form that kind of lightly cooked rice smell. There's some of that coming out here. Very pleasant. Again, lightly warm, heated, very gentle on the toasty aspect there. Still got some green aspects here in the leaf as well. Fairly bright green colors. Pulling out a few. I have here a leaf and bud, at least a leaf and bud here. Looks like maybe 2 leaves and a bud together. 1 inch or so in length. So you've got a lot of this looks to be intact leaves, pressed flat in the usual manner, so that you got like a locust wing, maybe is what it's sometimes called, or a grasshopper wing type of shape. You still see some bits of the gentle fuzz that may still be on some of these more delicate leaves. What else can I say? There was some research or some comparisons I did from different Longjings from different areas, different harvests. Some will have more of a black tip on the end, where the leaf and bud set was broken off of the plant. This one, what I see here, has 1 or 2, but fewer than some that I've seen in other places. So I'm going to return that to the bag there. Ready to pour this. Angle my lid over. Need to push away a few little pieces of leaf there that I don't want pouring into my pitcher. There. And with a little practice, of course, the Gaiwan is fairly easy, convenient to pour. You want to hold the lid with your index finger, and your thumb and other fingers hold the rim of the bowl. because it's hot. You want to keep to the rim there. Now I'm going to give this a shake, and then we'll look at some of these wet leaves. Let those leaves kind of settle back down into the bottom here. Aromas off the wet leaf. This initial aroma is more of a beany, cooked lima bean type of note, indicating usually often that a bit more heat has been applied to this, a bit more roasting. It often happens with a bit more mature leaves as well. Not usually the more, the first flushes, the earliest teas often have gentler, subtler. As it goes along, the characteristics often get a little bit more intense in the leaf, and often a bit more of the toasty notes come out as well. Okay, pull out a few of these leaves and look at them. Still those same beany type of notes coming off the aromas there. Let me clear away some of these because I want to pull out some leaf sets and some other different components here. Let's see, we've got another leaf set here. So I've got quite a few of those. I do have some individual leaves. I thought that was an individual leaf, but it's actually a leaf and bud. Let me see if I can pull out something that's kind of individual. There are a few of those here and there. Actually, maybe more than, I was going to say more than here and there, but every time I reach for what I think is an individual leaf in the pile of leaves here, it turns out to be connected to something else. Needle, and by itself, I think I see one that is a leaf portion actually. So you've got some brighter, lighter green-yellow colors now with this as this is steeped. Now, I don't see a lot of oxidation, blotches where this has gotten bruised or battered or mishandled. Fairly consistent colors here. So that's a good note, good thing to have. More of the black buds, the black tips, black butts there are coming. They're more noticeable now in the wet leaf here. So let me pull out just one more of those. If I can get it out. This one I'm trying to see, make sure I've got one complete one. Yes, this is a larger set. See, those leaves are larger. They're more spaced apart along the stem there that's holding them all together. Okay, so let me put that there and move on to the liquor. Give that a swirl here. Very little actually of my leaf actually escaped into my pitcher, and that can be done easily with a little bit of practice using the gaiwan. I have here a fairly bright gold yellow type of color here. Aromas moving more towards less of the beanie now, much less of the beanie, more towards a boiled corn type of aroma. So it's a bit of a sweetness there, a bit of a, I don't know if you wanted to, how else would you explain boiled corn? Say it's a little kind of a starchy type of smell. Let me give this a taste now. One of the first things that really stood out, the corn sweetness and flavor components were a bit more subdued as I sipped. I got a bit more astringency than what I expected. It hits more towards the front of the mouth, the tip of the tongue, the front half of the tongue, say. It fades off. You get into the aftertaste or in the back. Get a bit of a sweetness there building up. Again, more of a starchy corn, yellow corn on the cob type of sweetness there. And then as that sweetness kind of dropped off relatively quickly, and I became more aware of that starchiness again towards the front of my mouth. yeah, subdued. Again, aromas and flavors here are fairly subdued. The starchiness, the astringency, a little more pronounced, and some more bitterness than what I encounter in some other DragonWellHighGradeLongJings. As this cools, I get a bit more of that corn flavor aroma component coming out than I did in that first sip. So as temperature falls, you may detect a bit more richness, a bit more roundness in the flavors and aromas. Yeah, as I take it in now, as the temperature continues to drop, the front swirling around, sloshing it around in my mouth, I get more pronounced, bit longer, but still kind of flashes of that that corn type of sweet starchy, and maybe a hint of the beany, but much less of that. So, looking at this tea, it's got some nice components. Compared to some DragonWells, you know, it's not going to be as easy to oversteep compared to, again, but that's not to say it's the most refined, the smoothest that I've ever encountered either. You know, it's a fairly safe type of DragonWell. If you want to get a feel for is DragonWell like a category of tea that could be interested in, and you don't want to put a lot of money into it to say, okay, I want to give this a try with something kind of middle of the road. This one is probably a little bit. This one's probably middle of the road. To say yes, this has potential. I want to graduate up to something a little bit more with the components that I'm looking for, whether that's texture or aroma. So looking at this one, I'd probably give this one an 87. Again, some nice components, some aroma, some texture, but also some astringency. Some of that bitterness came out. An interesting story here. You have to pull out the components there that stand out to you. So come back to Walker Tea Review to find out what teas are the teas that you need to choose to help build you along the road towards the ideal tea for you.